Good evening, everyone. We are the Mandela Washington Fellowship 2023, live here at Kansas State University in Manhattan. Right, I am Mulebotisi. I am from South Africa, and I'll give all of my fellows to introduce themselves. Where do they come from, and what are they doing? Can I start with you?
Thank you so much for the floor. I'm Shomari from DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, part of Mandela Washington Fellowship 2023.
Yeah, I'm Eddie Valina from Uganda, excited to be on this forum.
Interesting. This is Linus Ikochel, all the way from Kenya, an advocate of youth and women empowerment at our 2023 Mandela Washington Fellowship. Interesting to be here.
Aishi Gumane from Mali. I'm in youth empowerment, also TV host. I'm very happy to be among my African brothers and sisters.
Wonderful. Viewers, as you can hear, the fellows, they've already introduced themselves. So we just gonna dig right into it so that we actually basically talk about some of the challenges that are affecting Africa and what do we think Africa it is right now and what do we think Africa could be.
Africa we dream the most is an independent Africa. I think like today, Congo is celebrating 63 years of independence. But when you go to Congo, you still have to feel that people are not free. There are those issues related to people thinking that all the solutions have to come from Western countries, from Western people. It's like they gave independence and they planted a grain of that dependence in the mind of Congolese, in the mind of Africans. So the way to go is to make sure that we free all African, to make them thinking that the solution to the Africa to African problems have to come from African themselves.
Mr. Badina, what do you have to say?
Yeah, well, Africa's greatest resource is its people. And currently, if you are to compare the current world population, Africa has the youngest population. And if you are to look at sub-Saharan Africa, 57 million children are out of school in the world, and out of the 57, the 30 million are in sub-Saharan Africa. So if you are to compare these two statements, Africa being the youngest continent, and then it has the biggest number of children who do not have access to education.
Yes.
And not just education, but quality education.
Yes.
Because if they just have any kind of education, then you're going to end up with more unemployment and more challenges, because it's education which won't be able to be relevant and empower them for the current contemporary problems. So I think one of the challenges that Africa is faced with is human resources, equipping, educating the young people of Africa, increasing access to education so that the next generation of young people is equipped with relevant skills to be able to transform their own continent.
Wonderful. Mr. Linus, do you have something for us?
Thank you so much. This is really an interesting topic when you talk about Africa, the mother. This is my motherland. And if I got your question very well, it's what Africa is like right now, and then how it looks like, how it will be in the next future. Just to join what my fellow leaders have said, I want to say that Africa, indeed, it's a beautiful country, and where we are currently, it is a stage of reawakening. Why am I saying reawakening? Because this is the stage whereby I see the African leaders being very conscious about what is happening, around them, because many a times we've been dealing with lots of challenges, and one of the challenges that we've dealt with where we are as Africa, it is the challenge of leadership that, to me, it hasn't been really so good in most part of the African countries. When I talk about leadership, we've seen where we are. We still have leaders in Africa who are greed for power, who are very selfish, who are just obsessed, with the power over the subject and everything about themselves. But now, why at our awakening stage? Because we're really having a crop of young generation who are very conscious, who are very transformative, and in their minds, in their activities, they're about to change, and they're about having better leadership, and they're ready to offer better leadership. And with this kind of young leaders who are coming up strongly, I see Africa as a giant in amongst other continents. So
That's more interesting.
great work
That's
for the
more
African leaders.
interesting.
Thank you.
A lady from Mali, do you want to share some words?
Yeah, I just want to say to Africans, like, development is a process. It is not one day we can have
Hey.
solution to all the challenges. Mostly we compare ourselves to America,
Most
Asia,
Western
or
Western countries.
countries, but we are very different. Different stories, different culture, different people.
That's true.
So what Africans must do is to look at their reality, their values, their culture, and take actions that will be more useful for
And
them,
relevant to their.
and not copying things from outside, because we are different.
That's powerful.
And we have to know that there is no continent or no country you will see there is no problem and challenge. So mostly I hear African talking about the bad side of Africa. If people always talk bad about us, and we talk bad about us, how are we going to share our stories to the rest of the world? What are we
our
showing
success, yes.
to the rest of the world? Like they think Africa is a forest, malaria, anything that is bad.
Yeah.
But we have wonderful people in Africa. It's very different than what people think outside. So let's share the good side of our stories. Let's change the narrative. We cannot change the story, history that has been already made, slavery and all those stuff.
But
But
we can
today,
prepare ourselves for
we
the
have the
future.
responsibility to change the narrative of Africa by
Yeah.
words and action.
I'm glad that you said that, and I want to touch on something that I had Mr. Linus was talking about, basically looking at some of the challenges that Africa are coming, like they are meeting ahead. So I want to check with you, what are some of the challenges that needs to be addressed in Africa, particularly as you are young African leaders? What do you think for what Africa it is now? What are the challenges that are making it to be what it is? What are some of the challenges that are more common in DRC, in your country, and also in Kenya and in Mali, as well as in South Africa? What can you say? Can I start with you, Brahid?
Yes, well, Uganda is one of those youngest countries, even within the context of Africa.
Okay.
So we have a big challenge of youth unemployment. Currently, it's one of the biggest challenges that we are faced with.
Is it they are unemployed because they are not literate, or is it that the government is not doing enough? What can you say about it?
I think there are many causes around it, because when you talk about employment, there are many sectors.
Many sectors, yes.
Yeah, and also in comparison to the population growth. Our population growth rate is very fast. We are projected to hit in the next 5 years about 50 million population.
Yeah.
So our population grows very fast
Rapidly so.
compared to the number of jobs that can be created by the economy. So we have a big challenge of youth unemployment, and that also makes it very risky also for the security and for many other things around it.
Yeah. A lady from Mali, do you want to say something about the challenges that are affecting Africa?
Yeah, the challenges that are affecting Africa first is like we are much more focused on superficial things than relevant things.
Like, if you wanna.
Today, when you see the mindset of the young people in Africa, you will see that there are some relevant thing, patriotism that they don't have. This is the first thing. We have to love our country. We have to love our continent so that we take action down for the development. When you see the mindset, we are muchly focused on appearance first than the intellect.
The intellect.
If you don't have something in your mind, you will never ever get developed. So the first, I will focus on education.
Okay.
Everything is linked to education.
And would you say that our education is on a lower level compared to which country or which continent?
I will not say a lower level. That's what I'm saying. UTC, you have to see who you are, know who you are, what you want, and then fix policies, bring system that can be useful for your population. But today, things seems to be very weird. We are in the system that we don't understand first. And secondly, we talk muchly today about gender-based violence, many problems. Like, what is the base of our today education? Upbringing home, parents, did they give up their responsibility? We are always focused on money. It is good, but school too, is it the same like before? My grandmother, like, she left school at 6. She did school 6 years, but she's still more intelligent. But today you can have bachelor degree, but you don't have an intellect. So we have to see real what we want for our population.
Mr. Shomari?
Thank you.
We want to say something. I know it's a boiling topic to talk about. You know, because challenges are everywhere.
And challenges are everywhere. I traveled a lot in Africa, and I met people from different backgrounds. And what I can share today is that we have the same problem in each country in Africa, and the source of solutions are also the same. But as Mr. Eddy and Miss Aisha told before, our young people and our education systems are like it is, but I'm gonna see something at an up level.
Okay.
I think the challenge we face the most, which don't allow African economy to grow, is that we have resources, as he told us.
We do have resources.
Have
That's why the Western countries come to Africa for our resources and come build something more proficient with our resources. That's true. That's true.
But when you go to Nigeria, the oil that side is exploited and
taken
to Europe
to
for being raffinated. Then when it comes back to Nigeria,
it's more costly.
It have a high level, an added value, something we could do ourselves in Africa.
So what would you say that it is? It's the cost of what? It's cost by what?
Mineral in DRC, for example, we have to take the mining career in DRC. We bring out DRC those copper and other tips for all or today the ecological transition, industrial transition. But when it comes back, the batteries which come from China, from USA, where we are today, it have an added value so that we can't afford to pay it anymore. But if those minerals could be exploited in DRC, raffinated in DRC, we have our own markets where we can decide the price of our products. I think this could allow African markets, African economy to grow up. And what we have to change is that our Africa should not be split into blocks. We have to build an Africa which is united.
That's true.
The Africa United means to have a government for Africa, to have a parliament, to have a Bank of Africa, to have a currency for Africa. I think if we have all those 5 components. If we have those 5 components, I think we will be on our way to make Africa changing as better as we want it.
I get what you say. I think it goes back to what Aisha was saying,
Yes.
that education, because most people are not being educated on how to do what you're talking about. We need knowledge from the Western countries, and it seems like that knowledge would not even be part of what we are. They will just come and take whatever that is ours and do whatever that they can do and bring it back on a higher cost. Do you want to say something?
Oh, I've been really waiting for this because
I can see you
I like
boiling.
this discussion. And just to finalize by saying, indeed, education is the equalizer for everything.
Yeah.
So with proper education,
What
I want to
education?
agree.
What education?
Correct. Just to pause a little bit. One, before I come to education, let me just point out quickly the challenges that we're discussing here, because I've been made to go back at home right now in my country and just try to see what is happening. And I'll still say, to me, the challenge is poor leadership again. With poor leadership, we'll talk about unemployment. With poor leadership, there's the aspects of corruption.
Yeah.
My country, when it comes to the list of corruption, in Africa, it's in top 3.
Yeah, it seems like if you don't do corruption, you're not doing the right thing, right?
It is.
Yeah.
That is, a vice, and it's a big challenge. And it happens, it begins at the topmost levels, the level of key decision makers, especially the parliamentarians and those who are policy makers.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean that Africa does not have great leaders. Today we are here at the Mandela Washington Fellows.
Yeah.
We
Because of him.
recognized because of the kind of leadership we are offering.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
because we are not at the key decision making, tables, then it means that is why we are seeing this wrong.
Yeah.
So to me, poor leadership has brought about corruption.
A lot of
And
things.
corruption, misuse of resources.
Yes.
My fellow leaders have talked about the resources in their countries.
Yeah.
The other day in my country, Kenya, we just discovered oil in Turkana.
Wow.
But now the companies that were brought to mine this oil, we're taking companies from outside the continent. They mine our oil, they take it to the Western countries for refining, and then when it comes, it is very expensive. Right now, a liter of oil in Kenya goes about 200 shillings. That is about $2.
That's a lot.
Uganda, their petrol is cheaper than Kenya, and Ugandan petrol passes through Kenya. That is a landlocked country. And the
Yeah.
question is, what is happening?
What is happening?
Corruption is messing us.
Speaking of leadership, before I let you go, my fellows, speaking of leadership, I just want you to give me your own perspective and understanding on what you think leadership is, before I let you go.
Leadership is the key component of what we have to have as perspective of the change in Africa.
Would you say that leadership is its position?
It's not position, but that ability to gather people around a goal which is to make Africa brighter than ever. Who is that leader who can gather Africans to the ideas back to Pan-Africanism? Like we in 16s, when African country, most of them got their independences.
Yes.
I tried to look in every page of history in Africa. Any country in Africa didn't attack any other country in Africa. But
Yeah.
today
We are
we have
attacking each other.
split it.
Yeah.
Zambia against DRC,
Yeah.
DRC against Tanzania.
It's like we fought against the whites so that we can fight amongst ourselves.
Then it is that issues where we have to we put our focus outside the really force, the real
Yeah.
enemy of our development. You see, it's like we are in the same teams. You are the attacker, the number 9 that side. You are at the point to score, but
And
me as the defender of our own team, I come back to you and I
take you.
I take you so
Yeah.
that easily the goalkeeper that side, who are those Western countries, come and pick easily the ball. The ball is our resources. The ball is our wealth, it's our oil in Uganda, it's our gold in DRC, it's our diamonds in Botswana.
It's our people.
It's our people we kill. We kill each other because only they put that grains of violence in us so that they continue to exploit easily our
I'm gonna. That's correct. I'm gonna have to stop you. What do you think leadership is? How do you define leadership in your own experience as a young leader?
Yeah, I think leadership is having a vision.
Wow.
It is knowing where you want to take the people and leading them there. It's about having a vision and mobilizing people around that vision, motivating them around that vision.
Influence as well.
And influencing them to move towards that desired destination.
Mr. Linus, leadership.
It has taken me back to Mr. Paul's class.
Yes.
And here basically I want to say leadership is about taking action. Leadership is service to people. And
It's not
leadership.
position.
It's not position.
Take action. That's
Take
leadership.
action. It's about responsibility. It's about service. So when we're discussing about leadership, we are talking about people who are taking action to solve problems.
The challenges that
people who are
taken
serving
aside.
people, not really
Saving
taking
themselves.
advantage of people.
Yeah.
And someone said that a leader is someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way.
Wow.
It's all about taking
Wow.
risk and
Wow.
really
Wow.
giving direction.
Wow, that's wonderful. You want to sum it up and close up the session with what's your perspective on leadership before I say bye-bye?
They have said it all.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have many things to say about leadership, but according to my experience, first, leadership is being available. The first,
Wow. Being available.
being available is the first key of leadership, because even if you have vision, you want something, if you don't give time to this thing,
Wow.
it will not go anywhere.
Wow.
So this is what I have to add
Wow,
to what they
that's-
have already said.
That's deep.
Interesting.
Mr. Shimon wants to add something before I let you
To
go.
add to this, our leaders are not available to.
That's true.
Yes,
That's
to,
definitely
to gather themselves to decide what will be our fate in next years. We have today an issue. I don't think if we have the same focus on something which is pressing in Africa. The summit each year, you have Germany Africa, India Africa, Japan Africa, USA Africa, France Africa, Italy Africa. And when will us stop this so that we say Africa, Africa?
Africa.
That is, yes.
And you know, we can say a lot. We can say a lot.
See, I just want to, like, the discussion is getting more interesting and we are about to close. I just want to point out something.
Good.
Like, when we are debating or speaking, sometimes
Things come.
sometimes let's avoid to put to talk about others, like it's Western, point people about our problem.
Yeah.
We've been victim of colonialism and stuff like that, but today
We are.
we are.
We
So
are.
we have to make the change the
That
narrative.
we did not
No, if we always stay like pointing out this, what are the
see.
solutions?
We are the same as.
What are the
the same-
choices
yeah,
we
as
are
the same
making
as
for
those leaders,
ourselves
yes.
now?
We have
This
to
is the
be-
question.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, thank
What
you.
are we going to do in our generation?
Yeah. There you heard it, viewers in Africa. These are one of the fellows who still come back to discuss more about what Africa it is and what Africa can be. And I want to leave you with this word today to say that wherever you are in Africa, do whatever that you have to do in order to address all the challenges that are affecting Africa as a continent. And we want to say, in my language, if I want to give you a shout out and I want to say bye-bye, I will say, Africa, we care and we love you. Kia ora rata, kia support Africa, you are what we are. You want to say something in your language?
Tolingaka peto mibonza kabonza kapona Africa.
That's wonderful. Brother Eddie.
Twagala nnyo Africa era tufaayo eri Africa.
Afrika twakupenda na Afrika ni nchi ya amani. Kwaheri.
Anga Kenya wonfe, anga Frankfina Kenya wontenyo womadai.
That's wonderful. Let me let you go. That's wonderful. Wow. That is good.
I am already popular.
You know, we must do this. We must do this.
How do you stop?
Oh, this guy. You just press here.
No cut.